Hey everyone, today we're diving into Zoho Books for beginners, where I'll walk you through the basics of setting up and using this powerful accounting software. Whether you're a small business owner or a freelancer, this guide will help you manage your finances with ease. Make sure to watch until the end so you don't miss any important steps. So now let's get started. So now here we are on Zoho.com, and this is where you would want to go first to get started. And from here, we will be kicking off with the pricing first. So we can find it right here on the products. And then from here, you'd be able to see all of the products that is currently offered by Zoho right here. And as for the prices, since we are interested in Zoho Books, then you can go for search right here. And then you can go for books, Zoho Books right there, and click on Zoho Books. And then from here, you will now be able to click on pricing. And then this is where you'd be able to get the updated pricing depending on the time that you are watching this from now, because it might be that the prices may change if you are watching this like maybe 3 years into the future or 2 years. So make sure that you check this out. So this is what you would get. They have a free plan available, which is $0, and you would get this features, and then you would get the standard one for $10 per month if billed annually, and then professional is $20 per month if billed annually, and premium would be $30 per month. So you can just see the features right here, and there are a lot more, and then the number of users that you would be able to let use your account or your plan. Then you have 3 users for this one, five, and then 10. So you would have this button, compare all plans in detail. And this way you would be able to have a more comprehensive view on how each plan compares to one another. So as you can see, you have more plans when you click on here. You will now have the Elite and the Ultimate, which is $100 and $200. So depending on what you would need, then you can just judge accordingly from here. And now that we're done with the pricing, the next thing is now to get started is you want to sign up for Zoho. So you can simply click here on sign up on the top right bottom. So right here, so you have that button there. You can just provide your company name, email address, password, and then your location. But what's even easier is by signing up using Google or other platforms right here. Typically, I just use Google for this one because it is very easy. All you have to do is to just connect your Google account and then you'll be all good to go. After that, you will need to fill up some information about your business, like the name, the taxes, and the currency that you'd like to use. And after that, you will now be prompted in this page. So in here, as you can see, it says, welcome aboard, Kyle Shooters. And I'm just going to click here on no thanks. I'll explore it so that we don't have to be guided. And now we'll be exploring the features right here on what you can do here with Zoho Books. So we're just going to go over a quick run through and go through some very important features. All right, so now first up is here in the home page is where you would be able to see the getting started. And this is what the first thing that you will see when you first get into Zoho. So this is also what I suggest that you do first, which is to complete all of these tabs right here so that you'd have your basics going on. So first is to add your organization details. You can add your tax details in here, add address, and invite users, maybe your coworkers or whatsoever. And then you can click here on your first invoice if you would want to create a customer, add an item, and create an invoice right here. But if you don't want to create an invoice yet, then you can just skip that. This is just a guide. And then you can click here to create your first bill and expense. And then you're setting up your banking and journals is also very important. You can click here on add bank account, and then you will be prompted here into banking, wherein you would be able to see their supported banks right here. And then next here, the homepage is that you have your dashboard, you have your total receivables, total payables, and cash flow. This is where you'd be able to see where your money is going. And some announcements and recent updates about Zoho, so you don't need to bother about this that much. You can just look into it occasionally. Next is the items. So this is where you'd be able to get an item, whether it's a product or a service. So to add an item here, it's very simple. All you have to do is click on the new button on the top right here. And then you can choose the type. It's either goods or service. So in my case, I'll just say I'm going to go sell a service. And from here, I'm going to go for tutorial, just for an example. And then the unit right here. So as you can see, you can put up some measurements, but it is not necessary in service. So I'm not going to put anything there. And then the sales information. So this is where you'd be able to set the rate at which you are going to sell this item. So you can actually set the currency right here. So you'd be able to set the currency before you get into here in this dashboard, because Zoho would ask you information, and that is where you'd be able to set the currency. However, if you're not satisfied with the currency right here, you'd want to change it, then what you can do is that you can simply click here. So let's just wait right here, click on the settings icon on the top right, and then I'm going to click on leave. And then from here, you can actually go for the preferences, or you can just search in the settings. You can go for currency right there, base currencies right here. So you want to go for base currency, and then as you can see, it is currently set in USD. So this is where you can change it. So if you'd want to, then you can click here and edit currency, and this is where you can edit it just like that. And then once you're done, is that you can now go here and just put up the price. For example, I'm going to go for $15. And then the sales right here. So about the income, maybe I can go for sales right there. And then the description is tutorial, maybe something like that. And then the purchase information. So this is the rate at which you purchased this item. So you can also input this, or you can just not input that and just go for the sales information if you'd want to. But yeah, it's basically the same thing with the sales information, except that they don't have the same meaning. Like for example, here in the purchasing is you can wanna go for office supplies maybe, and then you can put up the price, description, and then the vendor right here. So you can search it up. This is basically on the customer. You'd be able to see your customers here, or some other people that you have added here into your Zoho Books, which we'll be discussing later on how you'd be able to add people. And then once you are all done with this one, all you have to do now is click here on save on the bottom left. And then just like that, you have now successfully added an item. And the next thing is a banking. So we have already saw this earlier. So we can click here on connect bank or credit card, or you could just add it manually if you can see your bank right here on the supported banks in Zoho Books. So you can click here on add manually. And then once you have added your banking, you can go now into sales, and this is where you'd be able to add your customer. So in here, you can click on create new customer, and then you can go for the customer type, whether it's business or individual. And then the primary contact, you have the salutation, the first name, like for example, sample, and then tutorial. Maybe something like that for their first name and last name. And then the company name, so you can just add it right here, or the display name right here. So this required. And company name is optional, so you can just go for a sample right there. And then the email address, so you can just go for something random. Phone number, mobile right here. So this is where you'd be able to add those informations. And then here on the other details, this is where you can set the currency, so you don't have to worry if they are from other countries that has different currency than yours. Then you can just basically set their different currencies right here if needed. And then you have your payment terms, portal language, enable portal documents, address, contact persons, custom fields, reporting tags, and remarks. So this is where you'd be able to add all of their information that is needed for your customer. And then once you're done inputting all of the information, you may now click here on save on the bottom left. And then as you can see, the contact has now been added. Now we can proceed to the other ones. You can go for codes. Right here, you can click here on create a new code. You can even go for invoices right here. So let's just create an invoice just for an example. So here you can set your transaction preferences. You can go for I don't give discounts and so on, and select any additional charges, rounding off in sales transactions, and so on right there. Click save and continue. And then from here, you can now provide a customer name, and this is where the customer that we have added earlier will pop up. So you can just simply select them right here, or you can create a new customer right here if you haven't already. So now we will be setting this customer that we have created right there, and then there it is. And then you can also add a billing address and shipping address if necessary, and then the currency right here, you can see it right here depending on the currency that you have set for that customer. And then the invoice number, you can click here to enable or disable auto generation of invoice numbers if you'd want to, or you can just simply customize them right here if you'd like that. And then the order number, the invoice date is this where you can set it. And then the terms here, you can go for due on receipt, you can go for net 15, 30, 45th, and so much more right here. You can even configure the terms if you don't have the terms that you'd want right here. So yeah. And then next is a due date. So you can set your due date right here if there are any. And then the salesperson, you can select or add a salesperson right here. So if you'd want to add a salesperson, you can just simply click here on manage salespersons. And it will now take you into this one. And then you can click on uh, create a new salesperson here. And then next is that you can go here into the subject. So you can let your customer what this invoice is for. So this is for the tutorial, YT tutorial, maybe something like that. And then the transaction label. So this is where you'd be able to add items for this invoice. So here you can go for this one. So we have already added an item earlier, so we can provide it right here. So we have just selected that just like that. And then you can add a new row right here if there are many items that is going to be included in this invoice. And then you can also add items in bulk if necessary. But in my case, I only have one item for this account. So yeah, this is only my only option. And if you'd want to remove it, you can just click here on the X button on the right side, and you have your customer notes right there, and then subtotal, the discount, shipping charges, if it is eligible for shipping, and then the adjustments and the total. So your terms and conditions can also be set right here. And then some files, if needed, you can also attach it here into this invoice. And then if you have already received the payment for this invoice, you can just simply click here on I have received the payment right here. And then the payment mode was cash or check, bank transfer, deposit to, and the amount received right here. You could also add a split payment if this has been paid in 2 times or 3 times or whatsoever right there. And then the email communication, you can also add this right here if you have any contact person. And then once you're done, you can now click on save, or you can also print it if you'd want. In my case, I'll just click on save. And just like that, we have now successfully created an invoice here in Zoho Books, and it is actually marked as paid because we have checked that box. Next is the payment received. So this is very simple. So this is where you'd be able to see the payments that you have received. And as you can see, the invoice that we have created right here is right here because we have marked this as paid. And then there are recurring invoices. You have your credit notes. And then next is the purchases. So in here, you'd be able to see your vendors. So this is where you can create your vendors right here. And then the expenses is where you can record some expenses, some recurring expenses, bills, some payments that you have made is right here. And then the recurring bills and then the vendor credits. And then here in the time tracking is where you can track your projects. So you can create your first project right here so that you can keep track of time. And then the timesheet is where you'd be able to log the time. And for the accountants right here, you can click here on manual journals. You can bulk update, currency adjustments, chart of accounts, and budgets right here, and transaction locking. And here you have your taxes. So this is a new one for Zoho Books because in the past, this doesn't have this feature. So here, what's new in Form 1099? So you can select the right accounts for each box instantly with this smart recommendation. So this is where you'd be able to use their tax feature. You can click on Start Experiencing, and then you can now generate a Form 1099. And next is the report. So this is where you'd be able to see all of the reports like your business overview, sales, receivables, and so on. So these are just all samples. As you can see, they are system generated, but you can create your own if you'd want to. And then next is the document. So this is where you can see your files and bank statements. So yeah, you can enable it right here. And next is we have the payroll right there. So this is the payroll right there. You can click here. And this is where you can create your payroll accounting with Zoho Books. So you can unleash the power of synergy by effortlessly syncing your payroll data here in Zoho Books. And then lastly is that you have your configure features list. So basically this is where you can enable the modules required for your business, like for example, quotes, retainer invoices, price list for all of your customers or for the items that you sell, sales orders, purchase orders, and so on. And then once you are done checking the features right here that you need for your business, you can now click on save. And yeah, as you can see, the preferences has now been saved. And yeah, that is basically it for this tutorial on the basics and how you can use Zoho Books as a beginner. So I hope this has been very helpful for you in understanding how you can use Zoho Books effectively as a beginner. Now you can just explore on your own right here. And one thing about Zoho Books is that it is very easy to use. It is straightforward because as you can see on our process earlier, it was very simple and easy to understand. So you can essentially do the same thing with the other features right here. You can just read the instructions and then understand it from there. But if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. And that is basically it for this tutorial on the Zoho Books Beginner's Guide. With the right setup, you can streamline your accounting, track expenses, and stay on top of your business finances effortlessly. So with Zoho Books, you can do everything right here. Thank you for watching.